Now, whenever I look at pickup trucks, one of the first things I say is TFB, for too friggin' big, which is what the full-size trucks are. Here, we now have two all-new trucks that aren't. I've got the 2022 Ford Maverick.
And I've got the 2022 Hyundai Santa Cruz.
Now, one thing to notice is that these vehicles are not spec'd the same. The Santa Cruz has a turbocharged 2.5-liter engine and it's all-wheel drive. Our Maverick is available with all-wheel drive, but only if you get the turbo engine. We have the hybrid powertrain and it's front-wheel drive only. They do look alike. They're both based on SUV chassis. They're both unibody. They both have a bed in the back. But the one thing we've discovered driving them is that they are not exactly the same.
They're not. Despite frequently being discussed together, these two cater to two very different buyers and two very different lifestyles. Today, we're going to find out which of these is the better small truck for the everyday and which is more the worker.
We need to drive them and find out which ones they are.
Let's start with Santa Cruz.
Let's start with the Santa Cruz.
So on the road, the Santa Cruz feels rather like the Tucson on which it's based. It's a comfortable, composed ride. Unlike what you'd typically find in a larger pickup, this has fully independent suspension, so you get a pretty smooth, controllable experience. As throughout the rest of the Hyundai lineup, the driving assists are excellent. The highway assist in particular shines, really eliminating driver fatigue on even just the most dreadful slogs along the 401.
One thing I don't like about the Santa Cruz is there's an awful lot of stuff that is stuck behind the infotainment center. There is not even a volume knob, so you have to tap for the volume, you have to tap for your cabin temperature, you have to tap for your fan speed, and that's a little distracting. The vehicle does have an awful lot of features in it. It's got heated and ventilated seats and a heated steering wheel, but they're a little awkward to reach. They're on the console. Not a big deal, but just one more thing where you got to take your eyes off the road.
That is a fair point, and it really does highlight one of the big differences between this and the Maverick, which is that the Maverick actually offers you hard buttons. For all that's buried in the infotainment, the rest of the buttons in this are capacitive touch that you have to look down to find. It simply isn't friendly while you're on the go.
Now, it's a very handsome interior, and you get the feeling like you're sitting in an SUV as opposed to sitting in a truck. It feels roomy because you've got this rounded dash, and it sort of cuddles you, for lack of a better term.
It's all a very neat, novel package. That said, that is sort of where it disappoints me. The Santa Cruz is based on the Tucson SUV, which is a good platform to base this vehicle on. The Tucson is very competent. We've spoken very positively of it. I was hoping that it would surprise me, and the reality is that it simply hasn't. It's a Tucson with a bed in the back, and that's neat and fun, and if you live an outdoor lifestyle or even just like the look, that's going to be excellent for you. But it's not otherworldly as some may have hoped that it is.
Naysayers, the very first thing out of their mouths is these aren't trucks. And no, they're not. If you think of a truck as being something with a frame and a body on top of it and a little clunkier and four-wheel drive and all that, everybody said the same thing about the Honda Ridgeline. And yet the Honda Ridgeline is a very useful package. This is as well, just a different audience for it. And you've got to be the audience for it in order to really appreciate this vehicle.
For those who are simply buying pickup trucks because they enjoy the lifestyle, the appearance, and the adventurous spirit of them, this does a lot of what they need to do without being, as Jill loves to say, too friggin' big. This is a competent light pickup. The 5,000-pound tow rating is plenty adequate for lots of pleasure sports and that sorts of thing.
Something that the Santa Cruz has in its favor is that bed. It comes standard with a rolling hard tonneau cover, and when you close that and then you lock the tailgate, it's locked, so stuff that's in it is secure. And then it has that bed that's underneath it, a little trunk under it, same as what the Ridgeline has. And that gives you more options for storage, especially since it can be drained, so you can wash it out, or you can even fill it with ice if you're, putting your drinks in it for when you go camping. That standard all-wheel drive, that's going to be a big thing for a lot of people. Now, you can get all-wheel drive in the Ford, but not with the hybrid system. And I really would have liked to have seen that. I think there would have been a real market for that. And there's also a possibility that we may see the hybrid powertrain from the Tucson come to this as well. But right now, that's all speculation, and we're certainly not going to see it for 2022. But it does drive nice, doesn't it?
It drives very nicely. It's smooth, it's very responsive. That turbocharged torque is excellent when you're in a hurry. It's a very marked difference from the experience in the Maverick. This uses Hyundai's 8-speed automatic dual-clutch transmission, which some have complained can be a little bit jerky. In this application, I found it to be very smooth and sedate. Sometimes
these things can stumble a bit. I have not experienced that with this.
While our preference for long-term operation may be for natural aspiration, this is nevertheless a very excellent, very smooth, and
on its own, you certainly can't fault it. It's a very, very good vehicle. Now, what do you say we go and we drive the Maverick?
You want to drive?
Sure. So, here we are in the Maverick. Tell me about the hybrid.
Well, the Santa Cruz enjoys a fair bit of torque out of that turbocharged 2.5 liter. It does come at the cost of fuel. Here in the Maverick, however, a lot of the enthusiasm is for this new standard hybrid powertrain. The hybrid powertrain in this is mated to a continuously variable transmission. It's not quite so responsive and snappy as the Santa Cruz. However, it does pay off when you go to the pumps. It's rated for an impressive 6.3 liters per 100 kilometers combined fuel economy. That's significantly better than the 10.8 combined that you get in the Santa Cruz. That said, you don't get the power or excitement necessarily of the Santa Cruz driving experience. What's it like right now, Jill?
It feels truckier than the Santa Cruz does, and that is not a strike against it. It's a truck. So yeah, it's this. The steering is a little firmer. The ride is firmer. I find it a bit noisier than the Santa Cruz, but it's a truck, and that's the whole idea. One thing I do like is the view out the windshield. I don't know if it's because of the shape of the windshield or the flat hood or whatever, but it actually feels like you're riding in a bigger truck than you are. It's still very maneuverable, but it gives you that impression that, yeah, this is a truck. And the interior it's certainly not as nice as the Santa Cruz. This plastic in it almost looks like it belongs in a bathroom, but it's easy clean, and again, we're talking like a $10,000 difference. That's a lot.
It is. And yes, it does feel cheaper as a result. It's very economy car in many ways in here, but it is also so well thought out. The pockets in the doors are contoured for water bottles very effectively. Jill doesn't love these door pulls. I think they're great, especially with gloved hands. The center console also has an abundance of clever storage, including several ways to put your phone in. When you say this feels more truckish, it is interesting, because as we've said, both of these trucks are in fact SUV based. Both use independent suspension like you're used to under a crossover. It's all very simple. In the case of the Maverick, it's derived from the Ford Bronco Sport, which is itself derived from the Escape. It's not new, but it does feel significantly different from that. And so yes, whereas the Santa Cruz feels like a spicy Tucson, this feels like its own little truck.
We earlier talked about seeing two different types of buyers for these two vehicles. And as far as the Santa Cruz goes, they're looking at their truck as an SUV that has a bed in it where they can throw their dirty stuff in, their bikes and whatever, and they can throw it into the bed, whereas they're not putting it into a nicely carpeted SUV. The Maverick, I see it might even be more of a work truck. These are going to be people that do the more extreme camping, the mountain biking, maybe they're bringing home renovation materials or a load of dirt for the garden. They're going to be people who are more willing to work the truck for what it can do. And there's where I see the difference. And I don't know if there's going to be a lot of crossover between these two. Because for one thing, this has the Ford name on it. And I think that's going to be a big draw for people who see Ford as the truck company, which is what it is. And this is just a smaller truck from that company. The Santa Cruz, I think that's going to appeal to people who want their vehicle straight out of the box. As soon as they get it, then they're ready to go. Whereas this is the do-it-yourselfer's truck. We have an optional blind spot monitoring system in the Ford, but all it does is show you a warning in the mirrors, which is what most of them do. But the Santa Cruz, it's got something special up its sleeve.
When you hit the signal in the Santa Cruz, either the left or right digital gauge will turn into a camera feed showing what's in your blind spot. That doesn't obviate the need to look over your shoulder, but it does provide you most information about potential hazards right there within your peripheral vision the moment you signal. It's a very handy feature and it's very elegantly executed. The lane keep and blind spot assist in the Maverick is an $850 pack, and it is a stretch for value. The blind spot monitor works as most of them do, it just flashes a little thing in the mirror. The lane keep is not as powerful or effective as you'll find in a lot of the other more advanced Ford products. And again, that visibility is fantastic in here. But it is one point against on the value.
Yeah, $850, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. So as we said, well, people are talking about both of these trucks a lot right now. They cater to very different audiences, and they deliver very different experiences. That said, I think we're on the same page about which does better.
I mean, the Santa Cruz, it's got the nicer interior, that bed in the back where it's all ready to go straight out of the box. The Ford, a little bit truckier. You can show up with your friends that have Rangers or F-150s, and they're not going to give you the same look as if you showed up in the Santa Cruz. There are certain things, I mean, this hybrid powertrain, a lot of people like hybrids, and a lot of people are going to really like that 6.3 liters to 100. But I think the big thing is that even though each of them hits that target audience very well, that price difference is just, that's a lot of money.
It really is, and the big impression that comes away from the Maverick is just what phenomenal value it is offering for the money.
There are different things on our Ford. For example, there's an extra charge luxury package. The blind spot monitoring and the lane keep assist is extra. The trailer hitch is extra. But even with all that on it, we're still $10,000 under. We don't have the ventilated seats, but we have a heated steering wheel. We have heated seats that just get brutally hot, which is great on a cold day like today. It's got the single zone climate control, which isn't dual as it is on the Santa Cruz, but it's easy to use. It is well thought out. I drove the Santa Cruz first a few months back on the launch, and I thought, wow, it doesn't get any better than this. And then I got in the Maverick, and the Maverick is a really good truck, and I'll call it a truck because it does what a truck needs to do. So we like them both, but we have to pick a winner. What are the three things of the Santa Cruz that really stood out?
The Santa Cruz brings a lot to the table. It's loaded with excellent feature content, it's got all-wheel drive, and really for a family cruiser, this gives you all you need from a Tucson with the fun of a bed.
As for the Maverick, well, we got the hybrid powertrain. It has a more trucky feel, and it is a truck. And the real thing here is the price. That's a big enough difference that we really have to give the crown, among other things, to the Maverick.
As excellent as the Santa Cruz is, and even though they aren't outright competitors, the Maverick nevertheless is a very clear winner here.
I think so too. And for Driving.ca, I'm Jill McIntosh.
And I'm Elliot Alder.
And for more news and reviews about trucks and everything, be sure to visit us on Instagram and Twitter.